Hello, everyone. Good morning. This is Dan Beasley and the Dan Beasley Show, coming to you live from Hartsville, South Carolina. It's 10:05 a.m. on June 1st, 2013. Today we have some things in the news. Unfortunately, Oklahoma City was bombarded by more severe weather last night, catching a lot of people on the freeways trying to escape. That was a scenario that they were hoping to prevent and never had happened before. But a lot of people were hurt in their cars. People were missing, and death toll right now is at 5. The way it is with death tolls. They come and go. They go up exponentially, and then they're revised, and then they're revised again and again and again until they finally get the actual number. But right now, it stands at 5, according to the news outlets. Moving on to an interesting story here that doesn't compare uh, to the Oklahoma tragedy that's taken place. There's still about 85,000 people without power there, uh, and the city has really received some bad licks from Mother Nature. But moving on to other news, um, this is really a kicker. I mean, you can take it for what it's worth. I will withhold comment. I just report it. You make your own decision. But according to Fox News, in their air and space um, coverage, a Mars rat was spied by NASA's Curiosity rover, nestled between two rocks. Um, Looks like a rodent. Looks like it was maybe possibly photoshopped in. I don't know. You have to draw your own conclusions. I find it hard to believe that we traveled millions of miles and we can find a little rat on a red planet in the middle of all these colored stones when you can't hardly even see one on Earth, on the brightest day. But I broke my rule about withholding comment. Um, Anyway, it says a photo of the mass camera on NASA's Curiosity rover revealed the dusty orange rock-strewn surface of the red planet and what starry-eyed enthusiasts claim is a dusty orange rodent hiding among the stones. And it says where NASA took the rover took a scoopful of sand and tasted it, determined it was full of weathered basaltic materials, not unlike Hawaii. Um, there's no word yet on how the rodent tasted, however. The creature was identified on the UFO Sightings Daily website, where its finder, Scott C. Waring, held tight to his opinion that that's one darn cute rodent on Mars. And anyway, they pointed out the similarity in color and in position means it's most likely just a rock, fingering the psychology phenomenon known as pareidolia, which is a propensity to pick out faces from everyday objects and structures. To take advantage of this psychological phenomenon closer to home, designers at Berlin's Onformative Studio developed an algorithm that scans the surface of the Earth with Google Maps, picking out geographical structures that are likely to be construed as having face-like features. And there's a link for that if you would like to go and check that particular link out. Moving on, going back to the Oklahoma City issue. These tornadoes appeared last night. They were multi-vortex tornadoes, and today they were going through surveying the tornado damage and seeing what was, to be revealed by daylight. And there were toppled cars. Commuters were trapped on the interstate during rush hour, and workers planned to head after dawn into the areas of the city where in the suburbs, what the National Weather Service reported was several tornadoes that rolled in from the prairie. 5 people were reported killed, including a mother and a baby that were sucked out of their vehicle. A spokesperson for the state medical examiner said early Saturday that she had no immediate word on additional fatalities. About 50 people were hurt, 5 critically, hospital officials said. Violent weather also moved through the St. Louis area, ripping apart and taking the roof off of a suburban casino. I think that was light damage compared to what Oklahoma City sustained. So anyway, some tornadoes are wrapped in rain, so they're basically impossible to see, which makes them extremely dangerous. And someone driving down the highway may not have any idea that they're running into a twister. So that's one thing that you have to remember if you're going through Tornado Alley, and they've got these warnings out, and it's this time of the year. It was tossing 18-wheelers around like crazy, and just like they were toys. The next story in the news is a futuristic tube that has no air in it for wind drag and friction will allow you to go from New York to Los Angeles in 45 minutes. And it's a big issue that they said it may be only a few years away from being reality. So anyway, that would be one way of solving, some of the crisis in America, transporting people and things from one part of the world to the other, without spending like hours or half a day or whatever. This is going to be very, very high tech, but people will be getting into these tubes that are pressurized, and they will be like sucked along, at the speed of like 4,000 miles per hour. So, you're talking about Mach speeds there. And anyway, get moving along. Another tornado story about what was going on. It says less than 2 weeks after tornado killed dozens of people in Moore, Oklahoma, more twisters swept through the area. Of course, it left 5 people dead. Flipped trucks on the interstate highway during rush hour and flooded the downtown area with 4 feet of rain. So anyway, the downtown area is pretty well flooded, and the mother and her baby were sucked out of their cars near I-40 in Oklahoma, and the highway patrol said, "We know the storm picked them up and swept them away." When the troopers found them, they were both deceased. So they know that they were 2 victims of the storm. Some of the storm chasers actually got hit last night by the tornadoes. And there was some live video on the TV this morning about that, showing the fear in the storm chasers' eyes, as they found themselves in a position of where they did not want to be. And believe me, you don't want to be in a tornado no matter what the time of day is, day or night. But it hit during a time when a lot of people were getting off from work. They knew the storms were coming, so they were going home, and then they just got caught in the middle of it. So there were tornadoes with multi-vortices, and another tornado touched down near Reno, Oklahoma, and moved east towards Oklahoma City. It says flooding and hailing were really, really bad in this particular area. And moving on to my next story, there was a total of 5 tornadoes that plowed through Oklahoma, and the storm stretched all the way from Missouri, Illinois to Indiana, and there was a long swath of damage, taking place, during this outbreak. Moving along in the news, Obamacare in California. Obamacare is to increase individual health insurance premiums 64 to 146%. In other news, Maine doctors stop accepting all forms of insurance, and they cut price for treatments in half. Um, one response in California, Obamacare is going to increase the insurance premiums 64 to 146%, as I just said. And it says, I'll be sure and send them a sympathy card. They wanted free health care for everyone, so let them pay for it. That was one comment that was left um, on the website. So, moving along, another health issue that had a very bad ending. Cops were called out in California. Deputy needlessly tasered a man who was had depression. He was tasered and then shot to death after his father had called 911 seeking help for his son's depression. And the parents and the two brothers of the late George I. Ramirez sued Stanislaus County, its sheriff's department, Sheriff Adam Christensen, and Deputy Art Parra Jr. in federal court. George Ramirez, the father, says he called 911 on April 16, 2012, seeking help for his son. Ramirez said in the complaint he told the 911 operator his son was depressed but was never in any danger, never caused the family any danger, or that a crime was in process. Deputy Parra responded, finding the father changing a headlight and the mother indoors doing housework. Family says Parra asked about the son's whereabouts. He did not ask for details regarding his condition or why the family called 911. Parra found Ramirez on the couch watching television, unaware of his family had called 911. Parra confirmed his identity, placed him under arrest, and ordered him to stand up and turn around. In the process of standing up and complying with orders, he asked why he was under arrest and if he could see his credentials, and the deputy refused to respond and ordered him again to turn around, demanding he put his hands behind his back. And he complied with the orders, and then he demanded Ramirez to put his hands closer together behind his back. And Ramirez turned around and asked Parra in a calm, non-threatening manner to identify himself. At this time, without providing any warning, Parra withdrew his taser gun from his holster and deployed two darts into Ramirez's chest and activated the taser. He fell to the floor. Ramirez stood up after being tasered, dazed and confused but still nonviolent, the family said in the complaint. And Parra warned Ramirez that he could shoot him, the complaint states, and Ramirez raised his hands and said, "Shoot me." At this time, Parra withdrew his firearm from his holster and shot 4 bullets at him. He was approximately 8 feet away whenever he fired the shots at Ramirez, and 3 bullets hit Ramirez. He was 5'11", weighed only 120 pounds. Parra was physically much stronger than Ramirez. At no time was he armed or in the vicinity of a weapon. Ramirez did not threaten Parra's safety or engage in any conduct that would cause any reasonable person to believe that they were in danger. And while he lay bleeding on the floor, bleeding out, Parra did nothing to help him. He even prevented the family from going to him. Approximately 5 minutes after the shooting, the parents were held at gunpoint in the living room by the unknown deputy who arrived on the scene. They had not threatened anyone. There was no basis whatsoever to point a loaded gun at them or prevent them from helping their son. Other deputies arrived on the scene, none of whom rendered any first aid, and plaintiffs were informed that the Stanislaus County Sheriff's Department has a policy not to render aid if it appears that the individual is shot by a member of his department would likely die without aid. The complaint states the ambulance arrived nearly 40 minutes later and took Ramirez to the hospital, who was pronounced dead. Meanwhile, deputies had arrested the rest of the family and interrogated them at department headquarters while officers ransacked the home, according to the complaint. Well, the family has filed a $61 million claim against the county, which the officials rejected. Anything that results in death or bodily harm is